Hello YouTube, this is Arkeo2525 here, and today I'm coming with my Yu-Gi-Oh! Old School deck. Now this is definitely my favorite deck just because it is old school, and every Yu-Gi-Oh! Player who has played this game for many years will love this deck just because it's old school. We still all kind of love the old school. I mean, fair enough, the synchron pendulums and all the other cards are pretty cool, but none can actually beat the old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. Now, I've tried to collect all kind of old school from the old packs as well, and yeah, I just wanted to present you my old school deck and see what you think. I got these really cool sleeves for them from Ra Obelisk and Slifer on it, and I think they're really cool. And I thought, yeah, probably suits my old school deck. So yeah, I'm gonna go through this deck and let me know what you think. So I'm gonna start off with the monster cards. Now the boss obviously of this deck is Cast Emperor Dragon. It's definitely a must in this old school deck. Then of course Blackluster Soldier and we're beginning, both from the Invasion of Chaos. Then next one is Jinzo, obviously PSV. Next one is Dark Magician of Chaos, also IOC and also first edition. Really lucky I got this one. Next one, Injection for Lily, first edition. I think it's Legacy of Darkness, and I think this card I must have this card really long. I think back in the old days when I think I actually pulled it out of the booster pack, and since then I've not sold it or anything. Then Yatagarazu, first edition, same pack. I think it's same pack, yeah. But gotta love this card. I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, if you get battle damage and then your opponent can't draw a card, you can do some really awesome OTK with this card. Next one, Vampire Lord. Many wouldn't put this in. The only reason why I put it in is just because it's one of my favorite cards all time, and the fact it's actually really cool. So yeah, I mean, you can put it in, but you don't have to. I just think it looks cool. The artwork is just really awesome, and also the effect is really handy. Next up is Gemini Elf. This is probably the only card in my deck which is a non-effect monster. The only reason why I put it in is because it's secret rare and it just looks really cool. So I hope you agree with this one. Next one is Spell Cancer. I had to get this one because it was not meant to be my deck, but you can actually pull up some really cool combos with this one, and I thought I had to get it. First edition, MFC, definitely a must. Tribal Infection Virus, definitely a must in this deck. This card has won me so many duels just by its effect. Gotta love this card. Mahiraido, yeah, not much to say. I think if you have an equipped card, this card is a boss monster. Always on the Game Boy Yu-Gi-Oh! I always had this card in my deck because when you equip it with many spell cards, then his attack will increase really high. So definitely, for me, it's a must. Moran Captain. I had it at a time in my deck. I took it out, I put it back in. It's always back and forward, but I think just the effect, definitely a must in this deck. Now, I have 3 copies of Spear Dragon. Normally I always have just 1 copy, but Spear Dragon, I just love that card. I mean, I'm sorry, but this effect is just crazy. Piercing damage, 4-star, 1900 attack, and then afterwards go in defense mode. Defense mode is probably the only thing which is not the best. However, if your opponent summons, for some reason, some ridiculous monster, in the end it's just really cool because then you can save yourself. And piercing damage back then in the old days was the best thing ever. 1 Breaker, Magical Warrior, pretty standard. Then 1 Exile Force. Some have it in their old school deck, some don't. I think it's good because just of its effect, I can get rid of really nasty monsters. Fiber Jar, yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it only helped me once when I struggled. I really struggled had nothing on my side, and then I pulled this guy, and then he saved me the duel actually. So yeah, that's pretty nice. Reflect Bounder, probably not the must for many old school, but this card, as you can see, is a bit damaged because I had this card for so many years, just because it saved me ridiculous amount of duels just by its effect. So I couldn't get rid of it, so I had to stay my old school deck just because I have for so many years. John Saluk, just the effect is just crazy, so I couldn't get it out. Just that effect when you pump out with certain quick cards, just so powerful. And then you have the standard cards like Magician of Fate, Cyberjar, Witch of the Black Forest, and Master of Darkness. Master of Darkness was not a must, but I think for the old school it's pretty handy. So that was all with the monster card in the deck. Now I'm going to go on for the spell cards. Actually, some of them are still magic. So the first one is Raigeki, standard, is a must. I know it's banned, but still. I think nearly 80% of this deck is banned. Harpy's Feather Dust, stay forward. Change of Heart, still a magic card, which I love. Premature Burial, is a must. Same with Heavy Storm. Swords of Cerulean Light. Unite We Stand, this card goes really well with some of the monsters, and then I think back in the old days when it was really hard to get this card, and when I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! On the Game Boy, I always had this card in my deck just because it was so cool, but it was really hard to get. I always tried to pull it, but I could never pull this card, and none of my friends actually had this card, so it took me really long time to actually get this. Mage Power, different thing. I always had this for really long, and still is not as good as Unite We Stand, but I still like this card. Monster Reborn, straightforward, but ultra rare is really nice. Dark Hole, Giant Tyrannid, pretty standard cards. Then we have a bit hand power, so your opponent has to discard some cards, such as Confiscation. I really like this card, but really like more is the Linquish Duel. This card is so nasty. If you pull this one and Confiscation in your first round, your opponent is pretty screwed already in the first round. Then Forceful Sentry, a bit damaged this card unfortunately, but still old school, had to get it. Snapsteel, really nice card, won me a lot of duels. Pot of Crete, pretty stand forward. And the last magic card I have is Noble of Crossroad. Pretty good card, has to be in this deck. Okay, that was all the spell / magic cards. Now I'll go on to my traps. Mirror Force, gotta love Mirror Force. It is needed in every deck I have, just because I love this card. Magic Cylinder, Torrential Tribute, Ring of Destruction, Imperial Order. Sometimes this card is amazing, sometimes it's just annoying. It always depends on what you have in your hand and what your opponent does, but sometimes this card is really cool. Solemn Judgment, Call of the Hunted, and last but not least, just because it's so nasty, it is Skill Drain. You gotta love Skill Drain. It's just so bad. Just, I don't know, sometimes it helped me, but sometimes it even screwed me over as well. But yeah, Skill Drain is just so crazy. Okay, that was the main deck. I have some cards in my extra deck, which I decide, sometimes I put them in, some I don't. So I always decide. One is DD Warrior Lady. Still, the first copy I got of this, which is many years ago, still have it. I could never sell it just because she's so cool. But sometimes I put it in, some I don't. It depends on who I duel. Gaio, the Ghost Destroyer. Really cool card, but sometimes I don't like the effect. I mean, it has good advantage, but yeah. Then 2 new cards, which I just pulled out of a Millennium Pack, which is left out of Omfring. It's not old school, but it's just cool from the anime, so I thought, yeah, why not? Same with Card of Demise, just because it's in the anime, so old school. I thought, put them in the side deck. Okay, and the next one is, it is a must, which is Exodia, the Forbidden One, obviously first edition for Legend of Blue Eyes. Just so damn cool. And I think apart from one of them, I have all the pieces in first edition. Apart from one piece, I think. And which is, yeah, the right arm of, it's not first edition, the rest is all first edition. You can see first, this one's unfortunately a bit damaged, but I mean, it's, come on, it's Legend of Blue Eyes, first edition, it has to be damaged, it's really old. And then of course, Exodia Necros, and Contract with Exodia. The only one I put in, just because, I probably won't use it much, but just because this card is just, I think this is actually my favourite card of all time, it's just Yubel. Yubel, first edition, it's just really cool. I think back then, I saw in the shop, I went in, and I just wanted to buy some single cards, and I saw it, and I thought, I didn't even read the effect, I just saw the card, the artwork, and I thought, I have to buy it. This is actually before I actually saw the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series, when Yubel was all crazy in the series. I just saw the artwork and I thought, I have to buy this card. Bought the card, and since then, I could not sell it, couldn't bear selling it, so it stays in my deck. Probably won't use it much, but it's just there, just for safety. Right, that was my old school deck. I hope you enjoyed it. If you think of a card which I should put in here as well, yeah, just write down in the comment, and yeah. And until next time.